Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, and thanks once again for joining us here at KAKM Studios for Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting this evening's broadcast. For the breakup map, continuing along, no flooding expected, anything serious at all, with, you can see, open back toward the border here along the Yukon River. Porcupine, mostly ice up in that area, and also on down to about Tanana there with the Tanana River, of course, all blue now, which indicates open, and Noatak River up to the north and the Colville North Slope, of course, still pretty well iced up, but pretty open down through here, and several breakup fronts along the Yukon. So with that, instead of just one main one, really not looking for anything in the way of any serious flooding, at least at this point in time. Yesterday's satellite showed some clouds here rolling up into the southern southeast coast with moisture and showers, and some of that working into the eastern interior. Back out to the west, frontal system, big area, low pressure centered near the central Aleutians, and a front pretty well defined here across St. Matthew Island, back down with the clouds across Bristol Bay, the Alaska Peninsula, and then lots of clearing over the interior and some developing showers here over the eastern interior areas in the 40-mile country around Fairbanks on up to the north. Same weather conditions for the Arctic coast, North Slope they've seen for days now. And this system here beginning to break up last evening, and really today you can see just the remnants right through here of the cloud shield there, not nearly as impressive as it was on Thursday, and that continues to dissipate here and really just break apart and hold stationary. Now the upper level low back through this area, the main surface low, is pretty active, and it's sliding eastward here, developing another band along the southwest coast, and that'll be pushing rain and showers eastward later tonight and into tomorrow. Otherwise, just afternoon cumulus building here with some thunderstorms developing this afternoon in this area of cloudiness from about the Alaska Range, northeastern Copper River Basin, mostly over the mountainous terrain, up across the Fairbanks area. Nothing really too widespread as of mid-afternoon. And then that same trough extends southeastward here, and clouds, areas of light rain and showers extend all the way down across the Panhandle to the Dixon Entrance area and across the Queen Charlotte Islands. And you can see the rotation here, that system both at the surface and loft passing right over the Pribilof Islands today. Clouds and rain there, and a few breaks here along the, or farther to the south, and then more cloudiness with another system just south of the Aleutians there, which looks like, well, first on today's chart, there's the low center at the surface, and the remnants of that front, just some scattered showers with it this afternoon. That's about it along the southwest coast, Bristol Bay, and even more isolated across Kodiak Island with some clouds. Otherwise, not a bad day down there. Isolated showers along the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, all the way out to the west there. Next system just to the south, pumping more moisture northward to a certain extent. And then this trough here, area of clouds and showers, isolated thunderstorms developing even back over the western Alaska Range, and a little more extensive here over the eastern interior areas. Arctic coast, North Slope, easterly breezes continue, fog flurries at times, IFR in the forecast, and then showers on down the Panhandle. Outlook for tonight, or the forecast for tonight, pretty fair, no change, south central Alaska. Very nice evening coming up. Most of the showers, isolated as they are, will stay off the coast, maybe some clouds in Prince William Sound, but not bad here into the Copper River Basin. It looks like a weak low developing here over the southern southeast coast there, right around the greater Petersburg, Wrangell area. So that's where the rain and showers will be a little more continuous and widespread down in that area. not so much to the north, maybe some clearing up toward Juneau, on up to Haines and Skagway. And also this area of moisture continuing to stream northwestward. And evening thunderstorms will probably fall to just an area of light rain and showers here. Sliding northward now, definitely right over the Eagle area, southeastern upper Yukon Flats. Back to the west, more clearing. Arctic coast, no change at all, with winds fairly light. Light winds here all along the southwest coast. Upper level system moving in, rain spreading on in as well. Right up to the Alaska Range into the southern Kuskokwim Valley, and coming back, areas of rain or showers, definitely clouds across the Yukon Delta, beginning to scatter out along the coast later on, and maybe a little bit of a pickup in the northwest winds on the backside of this low for the Pribilof Islands, but maybe nothing more than 20, 22 knots at most, and this trough brings a chance of showers into the eastern Aleutians. That starts to link up with the moisture with this front, just edging up toward the Adak-Atka area, but the stronger winds back off to the west there, so no heavy wind at all in the forecast coming up for the Aleutians, especially with that front. Turning easterly, but not that bad, just a chance of occasional light rain here, mostly Adak and Atka, and probably staying dry through the day tomorrow. For Saturday, maybe some sunshine, especially early on there for Alaska, Dutch Harbor, possibly Nikolsky, and the Alaska Peninsula drying out. Upper level low here, driving a trough eastward with it. So look for some pretty good showers along that, especially in the upslope areas of the Bristol Bay area into the Aleutian Range. King Salmon could get a pretty good shot of precipitation with this. Northward, all the way into the Kuskokwim Valley, McGrath, and maybe as far north as Galena, possibly. Then it cuts off. You get back into the partly sunny skies to the north, or partly to mostly sunny skies. That should extend back to the northwest coast, across the Noatak Valley, and Selawik, Kivalina, on up to the western Arctic coast. Point Lay may see some sunshine. Otherwise, up here, no change. Areas of IFR due to low clouds, fog, and maybe a few flurries. That area of moisture now shifting up to the eastern Brooks Range. Nothing too heavy, but be in the form of rain or snow depending on your elevation and the time of day up in that area. Otherwise, for tomorrow, it looks like a little less shower activity now for the eastern central Tanana Valley into the Cop River Basin, but whatever does pop will probably be in the form of a thunderstorm. So we got that chance back across the Alaska Range with this system coming in from the west, possibly the Susitna Valley. Looks like a pretty good chance of some showers developing here over the Chugach Mountains and the Talkeetnas. Palmer, those areas down into northern Cook Inlet tomorrow afternoon. And the best chance here, though, along that trough axis back to the west. So it looks like pretty wet conditions here for the western Alaska Range, and then improving back to the west. And the southeast coast, mostly cloudy. Showers, areas of light rain, lingering trough there. But that should end tomorrow night. Higher pressure, weak high pressure, really just a drier condition as this system progresses eastward. It's going to, this whole thing actually by Sunday begins to approach the coast, develops another low, moves in. So rain back into the picture on Sunday. Looks like most of it will be to the central and south coast here as that upper system pulls eastward. Lighter amounts to the north, again more showery, a little more heavier and continuous on down south, but no big winds at all associated with this gradient to the south, and that's not even all that tight for any good wind. And the eastern interior, again, back into the showers. Looks like drier conditions. Very nice day coming up for south central Alaska. Anchorage, Kenai, Seward, Palmer, right up the valleys there. Actually not too bad up toward Fairbanks and Nenana as well, but east of there, probably an increase in the showers, especially in the afternoon with isolated thunderstorms developing. And that really scatters out back to the west here. Very weak 1005 millibar low. May kick off a shower, but that's about it. Brooks Range looking good. So Bettles, Koyukuk Valley, back up into the Red Dog area. And those places, western Arctic coast on the extreme west side, probably from Point Lay on down, you could see some sunshine. Again, no change for the Arctic coast in general there, same pattern holding. High pressure here along the southwest coast. So light variable winds, looks like from Bristol Bay right up to St. Lawrence Island. A little more westerly, call it west, 10 to 15 maybe, or 5 to 15. Otherwise variable down through this area, turning southeast or east-southeast, but nothing terribly strong here with rain shifting northward, maybe reaching St. George Island, possibly St. Paul. More likely, though, for the Alaska Peninsula with that warm front and wet conditions all the way back out to the west. Temperatures this afternoon across the Panhandle rising into the upper 50s, some cases lower 60s. That's Port Alexander with 60 above, Sitka though at 52, and then Skagway at 61. Juneau at 50. They went a little warmer than that after the odd time there with near 50-degree temperatures everywhere else. Lower to mid-50s North Gulf Coast. Valdez 61, 62 at McCarthy, and a 60-degree reading there at Palmer. 50 though at Kenai, 54 Homer, 56 Seward. Same thing at Gulkana, and 50s across the Tanana Valley. Fairbanks reaching 59 degrees. West of there though, mid-60s, all the way back down toward McGrath, and then falling back into the 50s, eventually the lower to mid-40s along the coast. Temperatures near 60 all the way up to the Koyukuk Valley there at Bettles with 48. Anaktuvik. Arctic coast, lower to mid-20s from Kaktovik there all the way to Cape Lisburne, and then that's Kotzebue pushed up to 53 today, 49 in Nome, and on down across the southwest interior. There's a 63-degree reading at, I believe that's Holy Cross with 47 over at Amonic. Otherwise, St. Michael at 55, Unalakleet 47, 35 at Savunga, 45 Macoriac there, Nunivak Island, and Bethel at 53. St. Paul and St. George both reporting 41 degrees and 46 at Unalaska. Pretty uniform temperatures, mid to upper 40s all the way out to Shemya, 50 degrees at Cold Bay, and upper 40s all the way up into northeast Bristol Bay. Kodiak 53, Akiak 45. For the lows tonight, lower 40s across Kodiak Island, lower to mid here over the west central interior with 40s. Of course, higher elevations dropping to near or just a shade below freezing. 30s Copper River Basin, mostly in the lower 40s across south central Alaska, give or take. Same thing for the Panhandle, and 20s from the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast. Highs for tomorrow, warmest conditions again here through the central interior from east to west, 60s to mid to possibly upper here back toward the west. 20s mid to upper for the Arctic coast north slope, warming into the 40s for the Brooks Range. 50s to mid-60s here south central Alaska, warmest in the Sitna Valley, maybe the Copper River Basin. Upper 50s there for the southeast coast. 40s for the Panhandle, or for the Alaska Peninsula. And for flying weather tomorrow, looks like a pretty good chance late tonight, early tomorrow morning. IFR there from the Brooks Range on out to the coast. Narrow band southward here expands again across all of the southwest coast here with that system, and IFR right up along the coastline. Marginal distance inland. Marginal VFR in areas of the Panhandle. So for tomorrow afternoon, the front down here for tomorrow, later tonight, brings IFR right up to the Aleutians, and then we'll see for the afternoon it lifts northward a little bit here, keeps Atka and Adak definitely in it. Unalaska, Dutch Harbor, Fox Islands marginal, and eastern Bering Sea marginal with a big chunk IFR here, St. Lawrence Island. Again, southward along or off the coast, but not reaching the Alaska Peninsula. And just near the Pribilofs, marginal VFR by tomorrow afternoon, covering much of the southwest interior. IFR hanging tough there on the north slope and Arctic coast. IFR also off the southeast coast, up including Yakutat, Cape Yakataga to probably Cordova. Marginal for Prince William Sound. Again, thunderstorms developing, isolated, widely scattered over the interior. Anaktuvik Pass open, same forecast for Adigan. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR at times tomorrow with rainy. Starting out VFR and could become marginal with a little more moisture tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise windy will be VFR. Isabel, VFR, thunderstorms will be of the VFR variety, both for Isabel and Mentasta. Tanita, VFR, risk of a thunderstorm. And Portage, marginal VFR, possibly maybe a chance of some IFR there on the east side. Otherwise, just go with marginal. And then for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR improving to VFR throughout the day. Freezing levels showing cold to the north, 2,000 to 4,000 feet across the Arctic coast north slope. Same pattern here, 4,000 feet southern Panhandle across the Gulf of Alaska, 2,000 to 4,000 central southern Bering Sea, 6,000 feet here through the central interior. Summertime pattern, of course, that supports the warmer temperatures into the 60s again tomorrow. And looking at the icing possibilities, that moisture slipping slowly northwest there keeps a chance of some mixed icing above about 5,000 feet up over the northeast. And then with that upper system coming eastward, again, rime, or probably a mixed condition here, kind of convective in nature, above 6,000 feet, edging eastward, spilling into Cook Inlet to the Kenai Peninsula, above 7,000 for the Panhandle, and then chance out here over the Aleutians. Looking at the jet stream, upper level low tracking eastward. We'll actually be pulling eastward even more than that by tomorrow afternoon. That should be, by this time tomorrow, it'll be farther to the east, ridging back over the Yukon, and kind of southeast flow, trough axis off the Panhandle. There keeps the showers in the forecast. And for 9,000 feet, east-southeast 20 to 25, eastern Brooks Range, eastern Arctic coast, falling back a lot more lighter and variable here over the interior with several low centers. Westerlies northwest coming around 30 knots across the Pribilofs, turn southwest 20 to 30 up across Kodiak Island. Easterlies mostly along and south of the Aleutians, possibly up to 30 knots. Northwest 10 to 30. Stronger along the coast, I say 20 to 30 along the coast, much lighter inland. Same pattern 3,000 feet down that way, light variable winds, North Gulf Coast. This low in the interior puts a squeeze on the atmosphere up there, so we've got some 25 to 30 knot winds. Brooks Range to the eastern Arctic coast westward, dropping back more variable, northerlies to northwest, maybe up to 35 there just east of the Pribilofs. And for turbulence with that area, occasional moderate chop there up over the far northeast and smooth back to the west. Bristol Bay, maybe some areas of light to isolated moderate chop, mostly below 4,000. Smooth southern interior down across the Panhandle. And out west, a little bit of light turbulence possible. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
We have a big solar flare coming in, so we're out here on an aurora hunt. It's a CME, it's dynamite, coronal mass ejection. It's when the sun, it kicks off energy and these explosions that are larger than the Earth, explosion type things coming off of sunspots. And if that energy is pointing straight at the Earth, it gets caught up in our magnetic field, and that energy, electrons, come down our magnetic field, collide with oxygen up there about 50 or a couple hundred miles high, and that's what generates the northern lights. My job as the photographer and the aurora hunter is to be in position, you know, location, location, location. And I like to think I'm composing. Mother Nature, it's a bit of a teamwork thing, you know, she's got to put on the show, but I have to be in the right position and of course with the right tools and the know-how. I've stopped keeping track of how much time I spend out here in terms of hours. It's more in terms of weeks or months, or at this point years now. You know, it was always in me. Even when I was a kid growing up in the lower 48, I would spend nights sleeping on our trampoline, just staring at the stars. I'm in 4th grade and I'm going, wow, look at those stars. And I'd see how many nights in a row I could sleep on the trampoline. And I think my record was 23 nights in a row. So I was doing kind of strange things for an Iowa country boy. I can remember specifically the very first time I saw the northern lights. It was 1989, the peak of the solar cycle, and I was going to graduate school in Laramie, Wyoming. And all of a sudden we had heard the northern lights were out. It's like, what are those? I'd never really seen them before. And my goodness gracious, we were on top of a mountain in the Laramie Range and they were turning blood red. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And the very first picture I took, that was 1990. Now, an old film camera, Pentax K1000 on a plastic Kmart tripod. Took 2 shots on slide film and got them back. And I thought, oh my gosh, this beautiful green thing swirling about. And from that moment, I was hooked. When I realized that you could preserve the auroras on film, I just experimented a ton. I'd had a heaping stack of slides, the no good ones. The experiments gone wrong, you know, too dark, fuzzy, out of focus, too light. I had this huge garbage can full of excess slide film. And that was just the learning curve. Well, when I go out here, it's all about getting the shot. And my wife and I, we've called it the hero shot. But the hero shot is the one where you just come home and you go, look at this. And everyone goes, wow, and you feel like a hero. It's a wonderful feeling. You know, it's good for the ego, of course. It's good for the business. But if you kind of strip that away, it's good for what's inside of you, because that's really the hero moment in nature. And Mother Nature's putting on this show that is just mind-blowing. It's unbelievable. When I first resigned from my day job, that was in 1996, and decided I wanted to become a full-time aurora hunter, my goal from that moment and to this day still is to get one hero shot a year. I figured, and I'm talking the kind that somebody wants to buy from you and hang on their wall, where the auroras are extremely bright, very active, turning colors, where you can't believe your eyes. If you get to preserve a little sample of that with a photograph, well, it's what we call the hero shot. Wow, what a feeling. I mean, you're elevated, levitating, you're lifted up, your spirits are so high that I love that feeling. And I think I get that so much from seeing cool things in nature that I will go way out of my way to find that. And I can, the next day, well, I'll be just laying there thinking about it and thinking how lucky I was, or how fortunate. Of course, I just spent 2 weeks sitting there staring at the sky and not seeing anything, so you got to remember that luck is kind of a relative term, but I still just feel incredibly lucky to be even in a position to where I could have been there, taken a photograph of it, and just mainly experienced it. Well, that feeling could last for days.
Welcome back. Sea ice advisory, or sea ice analysis today. Still some heavier stuff here east side of St. Lawrence Island, back up toward the Seward Peninsula. Really thinning out here by the passing day on down into the northern Bering, and still going to kind of shift around with the currents and wind, and then continue to just gradually melt away over the next several days. For the southeast coast, northwest small craft advisory winds, 25 knots here, 7 to 9 foot seas tomorrow, turning more westerly and a tad lighter up on the north side. Lynn Canal south 20 knots, northern Lynn Canal, otherwise 10 to 15, mostly from the south on down toward Dixon Entrance. Sunday, westerlies now up to 20 knots, south coast and south to southwest of 15 on the north side, but 8 to 9 foot seas mean small craft advisories. South 20 for northern Lynn Canal, 10 to 15 out of the south for the central and southern panhandle. Prince William Sound, light variable winds tomorrow to southwest at 15 here for the eastern North Gulf Coast, picking up to 20 knots back toward the west, turning westerly here for the Barren Islands at 20, back into Kachemak Bay. Strongest winds here east side of Kodiak Island, west at 30 knots, southwest 20, drop back down to 10 north of the Forelands. Sunday, southwest at about 10, light breeze probably in the afternoon there, 3 foot seas, Cook Inlet. Small craft advisories, Kachemak Bay, west 25, turn northwest at the same speed across the Barrens, but really drop off up along the North Gulf Coast. Light variable conditions, Prince William Sound as well. Small crafts continue on the east side of Kodiak Island. Southwest 25 to 30 knots. Actually 25 to 30 knots, both sides of the peninsula here, right up to Sitkinak and Bristol Bay, with 9 to 12 foot seas on the Bering Sea side, and about the same south side. Sunday, lighter winds turn east-southeast here with that weakening system coming in, and maybe up to 20 knots here from Castle Cape to, from Cape Sarachef to Castle Cape. Westerlies from Bristol Bay and southwest of Sitkinak. Fox Islands, on Alaska Island specifically, west-southwest 20 to 25 knots. Variable here for Nikolsky, turning easterly 10 up to 20 knots. Central Aleutian small cat advisories as you head west up to 30 knots in the western zone. Then on Sunday, 30-knot winds here from Shimia all the way dropping back to about 20 to 25 there toward Adak and Atka. Strongest on the Bering Sea side. Southeasterlies, 20 knots for the Fox Islands. And for the southwest coast, westerlies 25 south of Nunivak Island, otherwise northwest 20 for the Pribilofs. North to northwest 15 to 20, 4 to 6 foot seas, northern Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island. Good, lots of freezing spray there. Shouldn't have been in there tomorrow either. West 15 for St. Lawrence Island on Sunday. Light variable winds under high pressure everywhere else there, even the Pribilofs. And maybe west at 10 for the area toward Kuskokwim Bay. Arctic coast, eastern Beaufort Sea coast. Brisk wind advisories, east 25 knots tomorrow, falling back to 20, back into the brisk wind advisories on the west side, northeast, turning north at about 20 down toward Wales. Excuse me. Then on Sunday, light westerly breeze from Wales to Cape Thompson, and then east 15, and then for just about all of the coastline, very general pattern there, east of 20 knots. For the tonight's forecast, isolated thunderstorms here and showers gradually shifting northward with that system there drying out behind. Very nice evening coming up here all the way down to Prince William Sound, Cook Inlet. But conditions increasing, rain on the increase along with clouds here with a system coming in from the west, periods of rain, chance of rain southern panhandle, no change up to the north. And for tomorrow, this whole system slides eastward, pretty wet conditions here, good showers, isolated thunderstorms southwest interior down to Bristol Bay, some of that slipping into the Kodiak Island area as well as northern Cook Inlet. And showers continue for the panhandle and area rain and snow showers up to the northwest. Otherwise, no change for the Arctic coast. Weak front, chance of rain, Aleutians, except for the Fox Islands until Sunday. Looks wet in that area. Scattered showers eastern interior. Have a great weekend.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.